So imagine trusting a machine, right? Trusting it to navigate your family through this sudden pop-up construction zone in, like a torrential downpour.
Yeah, that's stressful enough just for a human driver.
Exactly. But then imagine trusting that exact same underlying architectural logic to find a 1 in a million genetic flaw in your DNA.
I mean, a few years ago, it sounded like pure science fiction.
It really did. But today, it isn't just possible, it is actively happening. So, welcome to today's deep dive. We are jumping straight into an incredible stack of notes pulled from an AI News Daily Digest from August 7, 2026.
Right, and our mission for today is to break down three massive breakthroughs that basically drop simultaneously.
Yeah, and more importantly, figure out the actual mechanics of how they work without, getting totally lost in the weeds.
And when you look at the raw source material, you've got developments in medicine, urban transportation, and fine arts.
Which on the surface seem completely disconnected, like totally different planets.
Totally. But if you strip away the specific applications, you find this very clear fundamental shift in the technology itself.
Right, so we are not talking about artificial intelligence as just some rigid tool anymore, not just something that calculates static data on a spreadsheet.
Exactly. We are witnessing the evolution of dynamic entities capable of interpreting and navigating extreme, unpredictable complexity in real time.
It's wild to think about.
It really is. We are looking at systems that decode the microscopic chaos of human biology, the macro-level physics of our city streets, and then, the boundless, highly subjective realm of human creativity.
Okay, so let's unpack this hidden biological complexity first. The Digest leads with a massive development out of a leading university regarding healthcare AI.
Yeah, this one is a real game changer.
Right. They have unveiled a system specifically designed to diagnose rare diseases, and it is hitting unprecedented accuracy rates in its current clinical trials.
And the core mechanism here is how it cross-references a vast data set of genetic information against complex, multi-layered symptom patterns.
Just catching conditions that traditional medical settings are entirely missing.
Right, because diagnosing a rare disease in a standard hospital is often described as trying to find a needle in a haystack.
I mean, yeah, but that analogy feels a bit tired at this point.
Fair enough. How would you describe it?
To me, looking at how this AI actually functions, it's more like trying to spot a masterclass counterfeit bill.
Oh, I like that.
Like a human expert looks for the watermark, maybe checks the security thread. But this AI system is looking at the microscopic spacing of the ink fibers across 1 million bills simultaneously.
Wow, yeah.
It's instantly spotting a structural pattern of forgery that no human eye could ever perceive.
That analogy gets right to the heart of the processing difference. Because human doctors are undeniably brilliant, but they are physically bound by cognitive load limits.
Right, there's only so much you can hold in your brain at once.
Exactly. A physician can only hold so many variables in their working memory at one time.
Yeah, like if they see a patient with chronic fatigue, joint pain, and maybe a highly specific faint rash.
Their brain naturally anchors to the most statistically probable causes based on their personal clinical experience.
Makes sense. You see hoofbeats, you think horses, not zebras.
Right, but if they have never personally encountered a specific 1 in a million genetic autoimmune disorder, they simply don't have the internal reference point to make that connection.
They are fundamentally constrained by human recall.
Which means they often end up treating the individual symptoms rather than the underlying systemic failure simply because they can't see that systemic failure.
And that leads to the classic diagnostic odyssey, patients bouncing from specialist to specialist for years.
Enduring misdiagnoses and unnecessary treatments, it's heartbreaking.
It really is. So what this new AI system does is remove that constraint of human recall entirely.
What's fascinating here is that it maps every known symptom, no matter how subtle, against immense genetic data sets in a high-dimensional space.
So it isn't just checking a database like a simple search engine.
No, not at all. It is dynamically weighting the probabilistic relationships between a specific genetic marker and a seemingly unrelated physical symptom.
And the digest highlights that this isn't some static software update you download once a year. The continuous learning loop is what really caught my attention.
Oh, the continuous learning aspect is arguably the most critical breakthrough in the whole report.
Because the system is constantly analyzing new, anonymized, global patient data, right?
Exactly. When a patient in Tokyo is successfully diagnosed with a rare variant of a disease, the system doesn't just log that as a neat statistic.
It actually learns from it.
Yes, it instantly recalibrates its internal weights and neural pathways based on that new data point.
So, like, An hour later, if a patient in London walks into a clinic presenting with a slightly different but related cluster of symptoms, the AI is already utilizing the insights gained from the Tokyo case to inform the London diagnosis.
You got it. The algorithm is refining its own precision in real time on a global scale.
That real-time recalibration is just staggering to think about. It is effectively taking the collective compounding medical experience of the entire human race and applying it to a single patient's chart in a matter of milliseconds.
And for a patient who has spent half a decade agonizingly seeking an answer while their condition deteriorates, we are talking about a technology that literally gives them their life back.
Wow, yeah. It bridges that agonizing gap between early symptom presentation and timely medical intervention.
It's a profound shift in how we approach healthcare. We're moving from reactive guesswork to instantaneous, highly probable precision.
Okay, so applying that kind of continuous learning loop to data sitting on a server is incredible. You have billions of data points, but they are relatively static, you know?
Right, it's a controlled environment.
But taking that exact same architectural concept, real-time pattern recognition and dynamic weighting, and forcing it to navigate the visible physical chaos of the real world.
It feels like a completely different beast.
Totally. Which brings us to the second major breakthrough in today's digest. A major tech company just successfully completed a crucial milestone for their autonomous vehicles.
And we should emphasize these were not simulated runs.
Right. No closed test tracks out in the desert somewhere.
We
We are talking about highly complex urban driving tests across various cities.
The AI successfully handled heavy traffic, active construction zones, and totally unpredictable weather conditions.
And honestly, I have to play the skeptic and push back on this a bit.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because I understand the hype, right?
Yeah.
But I also know the reality of computing. I have literally seen my laptop freeze up because I tried to open a large spreadsheet while I was on a video call.
They've all been there.
So it is one thing for a machine to keep a car centered in a lane on a perfectly sunny California highway.
Much simpler problem to solve.
But how does an AI instantly interpret the sheer chaotic unpredictability of a pop-up construction zone with, like, orange cones scattered randomly, human workers waving flags, all while navigating a sudden blinding downpour?
It sounds like sensory overload.
Exactly. Why doesn't the system just get overwhelmed by the visual noise and shut down entirely?
Well, your skepticism is entirely valid and points directly to the historical bottleneck of autonomous navigation.
Okay, so how did they get past it?
To understand how they solve this, we actually have to look at how our own brains handle that exact scenario.
Interesting.
Think about it. When you drive through that torrential downpour into a construction zone, you don't actively process every single raindrop hitting your windshield.
No, of course not. I'd crash immediately.
Right. Your brain performs a miraculous feat of filtering. You discard the irrelevant environmental noise and hyper-focus on the critical context.
Like a trajectory of the worker holding the stop sign or the brake lights at the truck ahead of me.
Exactly. Because your brain inherently knows that a raindrop isn't a solid object you need to swerve to avoid.
But a traffic cone definitely is.
Historically, AI lacked that contextual filtering. Early optical sensors would hit a heavy rainstorm, and the system's neural net would register millions of tiny, moving obstacles.
Oh, so the car would simply freeze in place because it thought it was surrounded by a wall of solid barriers.
Precisely. Furthermore, if a traffic cone was knocked over on its side and covered in mud, the AI wouldn't even recognize it.
Really? Why not?
Because the training data only showed pristine, upright orange cones. It completely lacked object permanence and contextual reasoning.
Wow. So what changed? How did they actually pass this urban stress test?
The answer is sensor fusion and dynamic probability weighting.
Okay, break that down for me.
The breakthrough highlighted in the digest shows that the AI is no longer relying solely on a rigid, pre-programmed visual map.
So it's not just looking through a camera anymore.
Right. It is taking data from multiple distinct sensory inputs simultaneously. We're talking optical cameras, LiDAR, radar, and acoustic sensors.
And it's fusing all of those together.
Yes, to create a 360-degree, three-dimensional contextual model of its environment, which is updated every single millisecond.
That's wild. So if the optical camera is blinded by the rain, the system doesn't panic.
Exactly. It just dynamically shifts its reliance over to the radar and LiDAR, which can punch right through the precipitation.
Oh, I see. It assigns lower probability weights to the visual noise of the rain and higher weights to the solid returns bouncing off the vehicles and the construction workers.
You nailed it. And regarding that knocked over cone we talked about, The AI has advanced to the point where it actually understands environmental context now.
So it knows what it's looking at, even if it's messy.
Yes. It recognizes that in a zone defined by construction equipment, a slightly misshapen orange cylindrical object on the ground is highly likely to be a displaced cone.
Not just some entirely new, undefined anomaly that it has to freak out about.
Right. It is actively interpreting real-world environments in real time, very much like human cognition.
But with no blind spots and reaction times measured in fractions of a second.
Exactly.
That implies the technology is actually ready, though. Like, it understands that a human flagger stepping into the road means stop, even if the traffic light hanging above the intersection is still green.
It has the contextual awareness to break the standard rules when the physical reality demands it.
Which is what human drivers do every day.
Yes, it does. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, that brings us to the critical tension noted in the source material.
Okay, what kind of tension?
The technology has crossed the threshold. It is mastering the physical chaos. But the digest explicitly notes that this rapid advancement is forcing society to confront completely unresolved structural issues.
Oh, like the laws haven't caught up to the code?
Precisely. The technology is vastly outpacing our regulatory frameworks.
I can totally see that. Because if the tech is fundamentally ready, the roadblock isn't the software anymore. It's us.
It is entirely human psychology and bureaucratic regulation. The sources point out the glaring liability questions.
Right, like when a fully autonomous vehicle inevitably encounters an unavoidable zero-sum situation and makes a mistake.
Who is legally responsible? The passenger who wasn't driving, the software developer.
Or the manufacturer of the specific LiDAR sensor that failed. That's a legal nightmare.
It really is. Furthermore, how do you standardize safety testing across hundreds of different cities, states, and countries, all with totally different infrastructure conditions?
Man, it all boils down to the trust factor, doesn't it? I mean, we as a society will easily hand over the keys to a 2-ton vehicle to a sleep-deprived 16-year-old who just got their license.
Even though we fully know that teenagers are statistically terrible drivers.
Right. We accept the inherent risk because human error is relatable. We forgive human mistakes.
But we demand absolute, flawless perfection from a machine before we even consider letting it on the road.
Exactly. Machine error just feels alien and unacceptable to us.
That is the exact psychological hurdle we are facing right now. The AI has successfully learned to navigate the external physical chaos of the streets.
So the true challenge for the next decade will be figuring out how to integrate this flawless, rational machine into the deeply flawed, irrational social chaos of our legal and insurance systems.
That's exactly it.
You know, it is fascinating to watch AI transition from solving purely objective problems to confronting the messiness of human society.
It's a huge leap.
But both the medical AI and the autonomous driving AI still operate within realms that have a clear binary outcome.
Yes, the stakes are incredibly high, but the goals are fixed. You either find the correct genetic marker or you don't.
You either successfully brake to avoid the pedestrian or you don't. There is a definitive right and wrong answer.
Right.
But what happens when we unleash that exact same immense, high-dimensional pattern recognition power onto something that is entirely subjective?
A realm with absolutely no right or wrong answers.
Driven entirely by human emotion and cultural context.
You were talking about the realm of art, and that requires a completely different analytical framework.
Which brings us to our final story from the Daily Digest. It ventures right into this territory.
The new generative platform, right?
Yeah. A newly launched AI platform is providing artists with a highly advanced suite of machine learning tools designed to generate images, music, and interactive installations.
And the reception documented in the source is really intriguing.
It is. Instead of rejecting it, a significant number of artists are actively praising this tool. They are saying it offers unexpected variations, completely novel suggestions that they never would have considered on their own.
Leading to some truly breathtaking results, from what the digest notes.
Right. And the initial public narrative around generative AI was heavily dominated by the fear of replacement, you know.
Oh, absolutely. The assumption was that the machine would simply automate the creative process, mass-producing derivative, soulless content, and rendering human artists completely obsolete.
But looking at how these artists are actually utilizing the platform in the real world, that narrative feels entirely backwards. Well, so what does this all mean? The AI isn't a burglar breaking into the studio to steal the human's paintbrush. My takeaway here, reading how it functions, is that the AI acts more like the ultimate wildly eccentric bandmate.
I like where this is going.
Imagine you are a musician writing a song, and you are just completely creatively blocked. You keep circling around the same standard 4 chords because that is what your human training dictates should sound good.
You're stuck in a rut.
Exactly. And then your AI bandmate, who happens to have internalized the mathematical structure of literally every song ever recorded in human history, chimes in and suggests dropping a highly unusual diminished chord right in the middle of the bridge.
And your initial human instinct is probably to reject it because it violates standard music theory.
Right. You think that's crazy, that chord doesn't belong in this progression, but then you actually play it and suddenly it recontextualizes the entire song.
Unlocking a completely new melody that your brain, bound by conventional rules, never would have found on its own.
That's exactly it.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize the underlying mechanism. What we are talking about here is the AI's ability to navigate what is called latent space.
Latent space. Okay, what is that?
Well, the AI doesn't have an ego, it doesn't have performance anxiety, and it isn't bound by the historical cultural conventions of what is supposed to look aesthetically pleasing or sound harmonically correct.
Yeah, it just sees the data.
Right. It simply understands massive data sets as mathematical probabilities. It can traverse this high-dimensional latent space to suggest a color palette, a brushstroke, or a musical transition that is statistically highly unusual, yet mathematically contiguous.
So it finds the hidden vectors that humans just naturally ignore.
Yes, it acts as the ultimate catalyst. It provides the spark, but the human artist is still the one deciding which spark to fan into a flame.
Which brings up the core debate explicitly highlighted in the source material. This platform has triggered a fierce discussion between traditional critics who deeply fear AI's role in art and proponents who believe it fundamentally enhances human creativity.
This raises an important question about the nature of art itself. The critics argue that art at its core is the communication of the human soul, forged through lived experience and struggle.
Right, the human element is the whole point.
Exactly. They argue that injecting a probabilistic machine into that intimate process dilutes the humanity of the final piece. They view the AI's suggestions as a shortcut that bypasses the necessary friction of creation.
But the proponents, right, the artists who are actually hands-on with the platform,
Yeah.
they argue that by integrating AI, they aren't outsourcing their soul.
They're exponentially expanding their toolkit.
Yeah, they view it as a natural technological evolution. I mean, when the synthesizer was introduced, critics claimed it would destroy real music because it wasn't acoustic.
And when the camera was invented, critics claimed it would destroy painting because it captured reality perfectly.
Right. But in both cases, the new technology didn't replace the artist. It simply spawned entirely new genres of expression.
This AI platform is doing the exact same thing. The human artist is no longer just the sole creator. They become a curator, a director, guiding and molding the AI's limitless probabilistic outputs to match their specific emotional intent.
It is paving the way for a new era of artistic collaboration, where the human provides the soul and the context, and the AI provides infinite, unrestricted variation.
It's a massive reframe. AI isn't here to replace human creativity. It's a new type of mirror reflecting our own creative potential back at us in ways we couldn't possibly imagine.
So let's take a step back and look at the sheer scope of what we've covered today. From a single daily digest in August 2026, we have mapped out how this technology is fundamentally rewriting the rules across the board.
It's incredible.
We've seen AI systems evolve to diagnose the medically undiagnosable, safely drive the historically undrivable, and help human artists imagine the unimaginable.
And to you, listening to this deep dive right now, the most important takeaway is how deeply this shift intersects with your everyday reality. You are not a passive observer in this
Not at all.
Whether you are a patient trying to navigate a highly complex healthcare system, a commuter dealing with the daily grind of city traffic, or someone who simply consumes and appreciates art and culture, this technology is actively transforming the fabric of your life.
The mechanisms we discussed today are changing how your biology will be understood, how your physical world will be navigated, and how your culture will be created.
It really hammers home that this is no longer theoretical research trapped in a lab. It is out in the wild.
It really is.
But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. One that takes all these isolated breakthroughs to their logical next step.
Oh, I like where this is going.
Today, we looked at how incredibly powerful AI has become within specialized silos. We have a highly advanced system mapping global medical data over here, another system mastering the physics of urban traffic patterns over there, and a third system exploring the limitless latent space of artistic variation.
Right, they're all in their own lanes.
And we know they are all masters of continuous real-time learning within their own domains. But as these underlying architectures become increasingly sophisticated and standardized, well, what happens when these distinct, highly specialized AI systems inevitably start learning from each other?
Wait, really? Oh, that is a profound concept.
If the system that decodes the hidden biological chaos of the human body begins exchanging structural logic with the system that understands the visible external chaos of the physical world,
Wow.
and then they both begin utilizing the unrestricted, boundary-pushing lateral thinking of the artistic AI, what entirely new form of intelligence does that cross-pollination create?
That is the ultimate lingering question, and definitely something to chew on while you go about your day. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the AI News Daily Digest. We hope we helped break down the mechanics behind the headlines and gave you some genuine insights to take with you. Stay curious, keep questioning the world around you, and we will catch you on the next one.